Well, hello, everybody. How are you all doing?
Right.
What are you hiding over there for? Damn it. But we just crawled out of a fort down here in outside Verdun somewhere in an overgrown forest, and it was a long day.
Oh, yes. Because it was a big fort.
I feel partially guilty for dragging Roger through all of these.
No. I love it.
I don't really. I'm just trying to appear sympathetic. I see it as my duty to give you exercise. So, kind of just wanted to jump on and give you an idea. And one of the things we've been talking about the tours and the trips and the and taking you guys out to some of the battlefields and forts around Europe. And as far as I got with that, because people asked me about how we're going to do that, and initially I thought, well, let's go to all the big forts that I've done episodes from, and all the big bunkers and the East Wall and all that stuff. And after today, I think we need to do something else. I think we need to all these really amazing forts, and you've seen Douaumont, you've seen some of the big Ibn Amal. Many of you who travel have seen these places. Those are really not the amazing places. There are amazing places that I think we should start thinking about taking you to those that are hard to find, hard to get into, and people haven't heard of.
Definitely.
We have a Polish bus driver and a Polish bus coming.
All right.
So I always show up in foreign. So I think that's the plan, to take you somewhere else. And after this, I'm going to swing my way back through Germany, through Berlin, back to Poland. And there are a whole lot of forts out there, fortresses, castles. Again, that was used for World War I, World War II, Cold War, and most of you haven't seen or heard of. So I'm going to try to find all these things that you haven't seen or heard of. And so that's kind of where I'm going now, which was my question to all of you is there's a handful of Polish cities like Posen, Przemyśl, Lublin, that I would love if any of you have any thoughts or connections on any of the specific forts there. Let me know. And I will be swinging through Berlin for a couple of days. Is this going to be the one episode where I don't complain about German and Austrian historians, curators, people that won't let me into where I want to go or get back to me? I think not, because that would be wrong. So I'll bitch about them later, but oh, dear Lord. So anyway, that's a little bit of the update. That's kind of where I'm going. And then I'm going to go to Ukraine after that. And whether you want it or not, this year is going to be a year of lines. There's going to be, I'm not done showing you the West Wall. Whether you like it or not, you're going to see more West Wall forts and bunkers. And I went back to the East Wall, and I'm going to compare the two so you can see what the difference is. And we're also going to go to what I went to with my Polish explorer friend. We went to the Pommern line, Pommernstellung. So we're going to go that as versus the East Wall. Of course, there's the Maginot Line. We're never done with that. We've seen amazing Maginot forts yesterday.
Yes, we did.
We did. And after that, I'm going to go to the Molotov line. And then I'm going to go to the Ukraine. I'm going to film the Stalin line. So I'm drawing the line this year.
Yep.
That's it. It's just going to be bunkers, forts, and lines. And what did we do yesterday?
We did so many things. We went to Gentrange yesterday.
We went to Gothic.
Oh, yes.
That was a hell of a place.
Wow. Yep. Fortified mountaintop. Brilliant.
You have no idea. It was. That really was. That was. It's. Well, you tell the story. I'm drinking tea.
Oh, Gentrange. Oh, it's amazing near Thionville. It was one of the giant fortified mountaintops that the German army prepared as their backstop. And when they were being pursued by the French and British armies in 1918, they were heading back to hide behind these fortified mountaintops and wait for troops to come from Russia to recommence the World War in 1919. That's why the American army cut north here, 1.5 million men in the Battle of the Meuse-Argonne. and cut them off from their base in Germany. And at that point, they sent the message, okay, the game's up. Ceasefire. And they all went home. I heard a French colonel on television say, well, the 11th of November 1918, when the German army surrendered, and I fell off my chair laughing because the American officers at the time, they gathered together on the 11th of November and they were discussing, what do we do about these Germans? Do we pounce on them and capture them all? And one guy came up with that idea. And the rest of them stared at him and said, you must be joking. There are 1 million of them armed with cannons, gas shells, machine guns, grenades. I mean, how many men are we going to lose just capturing them? Let's just let them go home. And another officer around the table said, yeah, okay, I appreciate that, but that may cause problems in the future. And of course, no. The problem,
the Germans causing problem in the future.
Taking their cannons home with them and their machine guns, and they they left the poison gas shells for us to find, and they're still leaking away.
Well, that's probably better because the poisonous shells that the Allies found, they kept tossing them in the sea, in the coast of Denmark. Yeah. So what the hell?
So there's the fortified mountaintop. To get back to that. They were heading, they were heading to hide behind them. And we've seen Gentrange, which is unbelievable.
You have no idea. It's like standing in the docks of a battleship and you just look up on these enormous sides of walls that are 60, 70, 100. I have no idea how high these things are. Are we talking about? Oh. Yeah. Talking about different fort?
We've seen so many things. We've seen so many brilliant things. Oh, no, we're talking about that. We're talking about the battleship charging down on us. No, we're talking about Gentrange.
Can I talk about the bats too?
Yeah.
All right, fine. Yeah. And Gentrange. All right, fine. Sorry, never mind.
Oh, so Gentrange. And we've seen, Tino, and I on separate occasions, we've seen Kaiser Wilhelm at Mutzi, which is incredible.
Yes.
When I was there, a guy took us around for 3 hours. And we were amazed. And then he turned to us at the end of the visit and he said, we have seen a quarter of this fortified mountaintop. And I went, oh my God.
And we all love Mutzig because it was one of the first experimental forts. But what we saw yesterday was what came after.
They had so many cool little things in there, didn't they? Even the rifle racks. Let's say one simple example. You've got the troop, gigantic troop.
The Kaserne
is immense, and the guys sleeping there, if there was the alarm call, they had their rifles in stands outside the room. Now normally, you put the rifle in straight and it stands up, like that, but they'd put them at an angle, so as you ran out of your bedroom, you would grab the rifle and it would naturally come out of an angled slot. And you run off with it. Little things like that.
That'll be a little bit like tantamount that if you keep your toilet paper on a holder outside the bathroom, as you rush in, you keep the stick at an angle so you can just.
Yes.
I mean.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that.
I have spent a lot of time filming pre-World War I toilets for you all. There are several types. There's a lot of types. They're all original. And you sit kind of askew at a few of them. They're a little weird.
And some of them have fighting positions.
Most of them have firing
slot.
So when you can't flight, you can fire, you can shite.
But another thing to move on from the toilet humor.
Yes, please.
As in Blackadder, you're English. You think that the toilet. It's a simple necessity, mundane necessity.
Function.
It's a source of eternal jokes. No, that's the Red Baron.
Blackadder.
In Blackadder. No, but Gentrange is full of such fascinating little features that, for example, to make sure that the ventilation is on and off. The levers that hang down from the giant ventilation tubes, they have German letters. The end of the wire is bent into letters. It's A for auf, open, and a Z for
Scheiße, ich weiß nicht.
For shut. It's brilliant.
That would be G for geschlossen.
Oh, it was a Z.
It was a Z.
It was a Z. An A and a Z.
Geschlossen?
I don't know. I don't speak German. So
That's what it is.
you've lost me there. But then other fascinating things are when you're coming to an external door from a casemate, the door is in 2 parts. It's bolted shut, and it's cut about 2/3 of the way down, so that if there's debris, concrete debris thrown against the door that has to be pushed open, okay, and you can't open the door, you just unbolt the top 2/3. And then you can climb over the gravel and the debris. Such super little thoughts like that.
And we found a lot of. We went to see a fort today. The American Army did not blow up or shoot at any point during any of the wars. I'm just saying.
Oh, I thought you were going to go into the ozone layer.
Oh, the ozone layer.
They
had an ozone machine in pre-World War I fort had an ozone machine to infuse the air ventilation, to make people happier. I'm sure they do it in Vegas. I know they're doing it in Vegas. They are doing it in Vegas. But did you think pre-World War I forts had an ozone machine? It's brilliant.
You just a little box, and you clipped it into the ventilation system and switched on the electrical current. And it just produced ozone, O3, to circulate in the ventilation, to purify the air and to keep you a bit happy.
Yes.
Give you that nice, soft feeling.
So when your wife is mad at you, you just get a little pre-World War I
ozone machine
to work it on.
But these things were amazing that we
from the front
on.
I mean, we really there's some things I'm going to show you this year's that you haven't seen, and places we have to take you to. Especially the guy that showed us around was wearing a World War II GI's uniform, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
and he carried his rifle with him as well.
A Garrison rifle.
And despite that was in the fort that the Americans and Patton really blew up well.
Oh, they did terrible damage there.
It's like
vandalism. That was pure sheer vandalism.
It's a pre-World War I fortress, and they still blew up the combat blocks. Not as much as I thought. When we showed up, I really thought this was just going to be pancake rubble, and I did sort of charm my way into next time I go back. They'll let me in. Well, they'll let me do.
Yeah, but what they did to the gun turrets was unforgivable.
As you saw the picture I posted yesterday of the split banana peel. That was and Patton was a man of history. He shouldn't have done that. He should know better. Yeah. And he this is what I don't understand. Why would he blow up an old fort in France? He knew the Germans weren't going to come back there. He wasn't going to let them come back. He was a man moving forward. Just saying.
Yeah, but leaving a potential armor-plated fortress in his rear.
But that would denote
the Germans
defeat.
Could sneak into and start shooting at Patton's rear.
Wouldn't that denote defeat in some? And then we promised several things to several museums. One of them wanted a Sherman tank.
Yep.
One of them wanted a 155.
155.
155.
Debanche
can
should go on.
Because they're everywhere.
Oh yes. Well, if only we can find the one buried in just to the south of Verdun.
Where
the guy he dug up a giant 155 model 1877 cannon with its chingoli, the tracks still around the wheels, and they've got that on display in the center of the little village. And he said, "Yeah, there's a second one I found as well." And they said, "Well, where is it?" And I'll tell you about that. And he died before he told his neighbors where he found the second cannon.
Write these things in the wheels. You find bombs somewhere or gun barrels or anything. Hey, you. Please write it down in your will if you know the secret stash of cannon barrels. But yeah, I need a German uniform for one of the guys as well.
Yeah,
that's probably the cheapest things of the things we promised to find.
The Sherman tank is probably the most expensive.
Yeah, I don't know how we got. That's the fun thing about traveling around. You find out what all the museums who need something. So now we need to find other museums who has that and wants to trade. But seriously, one thing we all need to vote on. And by the way, thank you for the donation. I showed up at Roger's house with a flat tire, and true to my tradition of having car rental companies that just want to make me stab myself in the eyeball with a fork. They, of course, didn't give me the warranty for that, so I actually had to pay for a new tire for a rental car. Anyway, done complaining. Well, I'm not, but anyway. We are going to have to make a lost battlefield medal for some of the people. The guy that showed us around the Ouvage, which one was that? Fairmont. 48 years. 48 years. He worked on making that fort and museum together. 48 years.
And writing books about it as well.
And yesterday we were shown around a fort by a young man whose family had such a relation to the fort that his dad is actually buried on top of one of the casemates. Well, okay, in front of one of the casemates, but you get the point. There are some exceptionally dedicated people out there, and I really want to try to find a way that we can all get together and at least show them some acknowledgement of thank you for their selfless service, because none of them are rich. I know. I saw the cars they drove in on. This is not for money. This is just for the love of keeping history alive. And like I said, I really wanted to make this a proper donate lost battlefields, a proper charity where we can actually take proper corporate donations and do stuff and do something to help some of these people. But at least I think we're going to strike a coin and come back and we can strike a coin and the lost battlefield, hero lost battlefield.
Yeah,
and go and give it to some of these guys.
Yeah.
So that is all up to all of you to make that actually matter. And maybe I'll introduce you to them, and then we can all vote on it once a year, and we can go visit them all, because there's just so many unsung heroes. And one of the things I'm doing when I'm going to the Ukraine is I'm going to a fortress preservation convention where I may or may not be speaking. I think they want me to talk, but I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut until I show up, and where we talk about the preserving fortresses and historical locations and castles and there. And we've been writing up a thing of how to do that and how to get that funded, and which is similar to one of the things I want to do all over Europe. So what do we got?
Tire issue.
True. I mean, with all the bunkers and everything I crawl around into that I always find a tire in, you would think I could find one for a Skoda Werke.
Well, you never seem to get a nail or a piece of barbed wire in your shoe. You just collect them in your car tires.
No, I hover over rock cliffs and strange things that. But yeah, cars are there's always something with them. They gave me the wrong rental car too. I was in Vienna before I realized they didn't give me a diesel car. Then I had to go back to Prague and explain to them why I needed the diesel car, which I had ordered and confirmed. And then they gave me that. And then they forgot that they haven't turned on the GPS in the damn thing. I'm like, I never had a rental car in my life where if there was a navigation system, it wasn't turned on. But they can't do it because they need both keys, so I had to bring it back. I'm like, well, I'm in France, so no.
So then we had fun. We drove around in my ancient 25-year-old Megane Cabriolet, and poor Tino. Every time we got in it, we could never make a rapid start. I could never rob a bank and get away with it because I crushed the key, the secret key that starts the beast, the double-click Renault silliness. And so every time we get in, I had to sit down and say, sorry, Tino, hang on a minute or two while I punch in the secret code, which starts the engine. He was fed up.
That's not the best part. We only had one seatbelt in the car. So
don't tell them that. The police will be on to me now.
Yeah, because we met a bunch of French military guys. They'd seen the show. That was a fun thing. Traveling around, there's more and more people actually recognize us and me, and don't roll their eyes or throw rocks at me. So that's a good thing. Renault Megane, is it Megane?
Renault Megane, yeah, Cabriolet. She went very well, didn't she?
It was a great car. More comfortable seats than the new one. Lady, I'm heading up your way somewhere tomorrow and the day after. So I'm just doing a circle up around Holland and then around Wiebelsburg. See your friend around Berlin. Thank you.
Oh, it's the other way around. Okay.
It is the other way. Well,
Oh, well, yeah. Thanks, Jay. I don't speak German, so I couldn't be any help. Yeah.
I've been paddling around in 3 or 4 different languages over the last couple of days. And,
Yeah.
but no, it's there's some
Somebody refuses Zara. Oh no, that's a nice car. Simon.
Zara.
Citroen Zara.
Oh, Citroen.
Yeah. Oh, Peugeot 206 and a Citroen Picasso.
Citroen
Oh,
Picasso.
brilliant. Lovely.
Oh, I think what did we have when I lived in Europe? That was the thing that was the Peugeot 206.
206. Good grief, that's older than my Megane. Come on.
Well, I didn't say we had one. I said that was kind of the in thing. There was that, and
every boy racer had to have one. But I could run rings around them with my Meganes. Oh,
I thought they had an Opel Menta.
Oh.
Or what was that? Ford. That all the guys with the dice in the
you had a Pinto.
Oh God. Will explode upon rear impact? No. I don't. Did the Pinto
Save $1, yeah.
Did the Pinto ever come to Europe?
No, thank God. We have enough ways of killing ourselves without driving Ford Pintos.
They have a car in this country of France. You don't have to have a license to drive, and it can only go 8 horsepowers.
8.5.
8.5.
Be fair.
Yeah, so it's like 8
half
and a
the power of my lawnmower.
And you can drive it on the actual street and get in the way and make me scream and shout at you. But yeah. No, we got to talk about the Sierra de la Rivière fort that Vauban he rebuilt. No, that was
Mudbirds, yeah, because you were talking about the battleship tearing down on you with the ram bow, and it was incredible.
It was.
So carry on with that. That's brilliant. Let's share that with everyone.
Can we call it a hilltop fort?
Well, it's a hilltop citadel.
Montmedy.
A citadel with a town inside it.
It's phenomenal. It's
oh.
You know the feeling you get when you walk. We walk through the ditch. Well, I go over to the ditch, and we're looking up at the. What was that? Was that the counter skirt we were looking? No, that was the ravine. No, it wasn't. It was yeah, it was, wasn't it? The walls of the ditch, and. You know the feeling when you're standing next to a tanker, you're on the dock and you look, everywhere you've ever been, a tanker ship or a huge passenger liner just towers above you. And that's kind of what it looked like. It never seen anything like that before. It's amazing. And that was originally built in the 17th century?
Yeah, 17th century.
Well, there was a fort ever since the Romans. There was a Roman settlement there, and then it evolved until the Germans showed up and blew up the Caponier because, well, they didn't fight for it, so they had to blow something up to show they did something.
And they sold postcards of it.
They did.
Yeah, of the damage they'd done during the combat, which had never taken place.
The combat that didn't happen.
But tell them about the prow of the battleship. We were on a separate part, wasn't it? There was a separate, like a ravelin stuck out, or a...
Yeah, it was like at the end of the ravelin, it really was. It was razor sharp corner that was pointing at you inside the ditch that came down to a corner, which it was impossible for any soldier to get around it. But the fact is that instead of just being a straight corner, it was literally a ram bow.
Of a 19th century battleship. And we stood there seeing the towering sides of this thing, imagining we were in a tiny little a torpedo boat of 1890 with this huge pre-dreadnought with a ram bow tearing down on us, about to cut us in two. It was amazing, wasn't it?
It was. Now, I didn't take a picture of it because I was so... it was just... There's some things out there, and I was saying that today to the gentleman. We just occupied this poor fort, the guy's fort this morning, because that whole diarrhea situation. So we called this the adjacent fort. That I said, well, we have to look at something. And called them up and said, by the way, can we just occupy you and come here and film? And took up the whole day. I think we left at 5 or something, and. Sometimes I'll be honest. Sometimes when I was saying that today, forts and bunkers and Maginot Line and Rechtebouwten, and a lot of it to a point will look somewhat the same. I'm not looking for specific details. And like if you go to a west wall, you go to Atlantic wall, you travel the Atlantic wall. Well, after a couple of days, well, everything you're looking at is the same. You go like, oh, okay, post 1870 war forts. Okay, after a while, they're sort of similar. The structure is different. The destruction is different, and there's some. So you get you get a little complacent, and then sometimes you show up. And why I'm telling you is because I want to tell you that just because you think you've seen everything, once in a while you just turn a corner and you go, "Holy Mother of God, what is this?" I've had quite a few of those on this trip, including I saw a bivouac in the middle of the country, not out on the coastline. A bivouac, a 2-story German bunker, enormous with tunnel systems and everything, that had jumped off a cliff and was sitting triangular, point down in the ground. And you turn the bush and go like, what the hell is this thing? It looks like a spaceship. I've still crawled inside it just because it's slightly askew. And the same thing with the Montmedy is an amazing place.
Montmedy.
We
got lost, didn't we?
We got lost in the ditch.
We couldn't work. There was so many complex ways of going around the ditch. Vauban had rebuilt the place, and he made a damn good job of it, didn't he? You'd have had a heavy task of getting in, and we got lost. We didn't know whether we should go left or right, north or south. We lost our bearings completely. And this young guide, we'd asked him how to get into the ditch, hadn't we? About half an hour before.
Get into it, yeah.
Yeah, because we couldn't find the hidden door around the corner. He said, "Oh, you go around the corner. There's the door. Down we go, down we go, down we go, and we're in the ditch." And it was amazing. And then he saw us wandering around, didn't he?
Well, he came running towards us, and usually when people run towards us, it's because I've gone through somewhere I'm not supposed to, and I figure, all right, this young kid's going to come up and yell at me so we just kind of ignored him, and I think he kind of wanted you to give him a job, actually. But no, he was really nice. We ended up interviewing him. He's writing a book about Montmedy, and you have to remember, you have a fortress that on top of a rock outlet, we call it, not a mountaintop, but
solid block of rock.
And solid block of rock, and you have a village in the center of it. That's how big it is. And still, the walls are hundreds and hundreds of feet. If you stand at ground level in the town, you look up at this mountain fort. It's amazing, and it's not a place people they usually go. And that's when we started going to places people don't usually go.
And that it's also the scene of a crazy tragedy, because the garrison there, they had 1,000 men, they had several cannons on the roof, but the walls are immense. And Serre de Rivière had come along. He'd planned to put 2 retractable giant gun turrets there, and they ran out of money. But he had put in concrete protected magazines. So the thing is, the garrison.
That's for you, by the way.
Oh yeah, hey, berry. Oh yeah, I know there's a customer. Yeah, great. Yeah, it is Maginot. It's a little Maginot. It's not a berry. It's a tart. Aha, like an apple tart, a tart. No. The place was so immense, and the garrison made a run for it. The 1,000 men with a few machine guns, they ran away. They evacuated it, and they tried to get to Verdun, miles to the south. And they were trapped by the German army in a forest, and half of them were killed. The rest of them went into the prisoner of war camp. But when you go round Montmedy, we couldn't understand why they didn't just stand their ground.
Yeah, they could just have stayed.
They could have stayed for weeks. The Germans would have battered the bastions. They'd have smashed the town. They'd have demolished the belfries of the church. But the place would have survived.
Yeah.
The 1,000 men. I mean, in the forts we've been in, they've been bombarded. 6,000 shells hit the fort today, and they lost 2 guys.
Yeah.
They lost 2 guys killed.
Actually, 8.
8 men killed.
6,000 German shells bombed this fort, and 8 dudes died.
Because it was immense. It was huge. And you could hide in underground tunnels and underground powder magazines. And the 6,000 shells fell around. And they made a hell of a mess of the fort. But then you'd clamber back up and man your machine guns.
Yeah.
They never get in.
Well, Montmedy, there was a reason why they ran. Well, they only had 10 guns. And I will say they should have stayed.
Should have stayed.
10 guns still, 10 guns in a mountain fortress with 4 or 5 meter walls. I still better get caught out in the open.
Yeah.
At least they had rifles and what have you. This is still World War One. Machine guns, yeah.
And they ran for it.
No, they didn't even get to the point where food or water was an issue. And there's a well. Was it a well?
Yeah, there's a well. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
There's a well in
good. Yeah. So I mean,
it's sad.
They could. It's sad, but it's such an amazing place. And my drone flew away, and it came back. And later the same day, we crashed it into a tree. Still survived.
We had to reach up and retrieve her out of the tree. I don't think when she crashed, she went, "Oh," didn't she?
Yeah, she just hung there. It was a problem filming something that big.
Yeah.
That there's no point of linear sight for me to watch the drone where it's going when I film it. So at some point, it just disappeared, and I just had to wait for it to run out of battery and come back and land automatically. So I have no idea what I filmed there, but it's. But
it could have landed somewhere else in Gothic. It would have taken us.
I was flying blind for a while, and when I was looking at the footage as I came in, I actually saw it hit straight over the grass, straight towards the city wall in a ruined building, and it stopped a few feet from that building, and then I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the footage because I had no connection. I just figured I should go up.
Yeah.
It's a few times, but I'm so glad that all those little branch rotator protectors I got for the drone has been stationary in the car ever since I got it. I'm going to take it to Ukraine, and I'll probably get shot down.
Oh, no.
Well, I did get a backup, but that flies crooked.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is going to be. Oh, there's the biggest Napoleonic era, the biggest hall. You know who you are out there. Remind me about that. This in Warsaw. There's one of the biggest Napoleon era forts in the world. I think the longest building. I think the longest caserna, the longest. I don't know if it's a fort or it's the caserna or this, but there's going to be some firsts. Some only one exists of this. We've seen a couple of things that only one left of the world, or turret number 2 type of thing. Yeah, there's Poland's going to be fun, by the way. And then I have a little hunch that the Alpine forts of the Maginot Line were not really built according to the same scheme. They were sort of built first, and they were sort of just ad hoc built.
Into the surrounding.
We need a fort. Let's build something. So
Block of Valley.
Yeah. So that sounds like something. I guess we need to see something.
Oh no! I have my fear of heights again. Oh no! Climbing the drone. You'd have to drug me.
I drive over next to a ditch. She's like, you're very close to the curb,
We're hurtling down a mountainside, and Tino is happily eating a sandwich or drinking a drink, and I'm saying, well, there's a 1,000-foot drop here on the right, as he's heading for it. And he goes, oh, all right, just misses. And I go,
it's a rental car, Napoleon Square.
Yeah, we're not rental people. We're real people in a rental car.
We're historians.
That could go over the edge.
We're historians. We're expendable.
But we can't jump if we've got seatbelts on. Your only chance is to jump.
You wearing a seatbelt?
Yes.
Oh.
We had one each in your car. we had to share.
I guess you can jump. Oh, I guess I can jump.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, no, there's going to be some interesting stuff to see. So I guess there's going to be a special coming up on the pickle helm.
Oh yes, I was just about to mention that. You couldn't forget that.
But Lord knows I've been trying. I thought we were going to go see a fort. Fort. Let me see some.
But we saw a mound of earth, didn't we?
We saw a mound of there. There was some earth and some dirt. Yes.
Resembled a fort.
Yes,
it had been
a nice museum. That's way too nice for me, and you know how I feel about nice museums with glass cases. However, there was the largest collection of German pickle helms in there. Almost 400 of them, all different. The little pointy helmets, and they're not all pointy.
One had a lion on.
lion.
They had
figures.
an eagle. And even one had an eagle standing on the point.
And the flat tops. And there's, I guess I'm just going to have to get into that and try to figure out which regiment my Prussian ancestors were part of. So I can start get the right Pickelhelm for that regiment with the right gigantic spike.
Do you have a horse on it, or?
Well, I don't know. We're going to find out first, but I think I should start reenacting pre-Franco-Prussian War uniforms.
Oh, wow!
If we can find a Pickelhelm in my gigantic head size.
Well, there was a very big helmet there. Gigantic, really big ones. It's incredible.
The only helmet I'll wear is with a gigantic bronze horse and a spike. Or an eagle on the spike.
Oh, you got to have the eagle on the spike.
God, I hope
that
that's the one.
Brilliant.
I hope that's the one. I really do.
Oh,
yeah. Now, if there's any serious questions before we all pass out or do whatever we're doing, do ask. The Pickelhelm was originally designed in 1842. 1842? Was that the? I thought they were way earlier than that.
No.
Okay, lady. Why? I mean,
no.
Why?
The theory is that the spike like that, when you try to chop someone in half with your saber, you hope that the spike will deflect it off.
Yes,
then it just chops your arm off instead of cutting your head into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, but I just think
winners and losers.
There must be something more to it than that, though.
It's for decoration. Come on. When my cousin in the SAS, who was a Chevalier de la Légion d'honneur, thanks to me telling the French president he should give him an award, I asked for a trumpeter from the Welsh regiment to come to play the last, the trumpet sound at his grave as he was buried. The last post.
Thank you.
And the trumpeter from the Welsh regiment turned up in his scarlet uniform, wearing a Pickelhelm. So the music, the band players, they still wear Pickelhelms. The Americans had Pickelhelms.
I mean, I guess that wouldn't be the only helmet I would actually wear doing these stupid things. I'm only wearing a hat because I haven't had a haircut for 2 days, and that would just be completely unseemly.
And I'm wearing my top because Tino's wearing a hat.
Well,
so that's
the French World War I beret.
1940 Maginot Tarte in khaki mustard. But the badge fell off. The badge fell off when I was taking a group of students around. The next badge fell off, but it's in my case. I took a group of students around the disappeared village of Fleury de Dormont. And with everybody standing around, I was explaining the washroom and blah, blah, blah. And I saw the Maginot badge, the officer's badge, fall off my beret, the Tarte, and land near my feet. And we all searched for it for 10 minutes, and we couldn't find it. It was as if the ground had opened up and swallowed it. And I wouldn't put it past the battlefield of Verdun to do something like that.
Did I ever air the episode we filmed from the disappeared village? I'm just asking you guys because honestly, I don't remember. This is a real tinfoil hat. I mean, if you look up the Pickelhelm and you go you see the flat tops. We thought was artillery.
That's cavalry.
That's cavalry. Flat top.
The flat top helmets, I think.
I just I'll have to do.
There's a Death Sentence Hussar one, wasn't
there? Mackensen.
Yes.
It's like if you look up if you're central casting and you need a Prussian or German general, then you will you'll get von Mackensen, the World War I field marshal. He's just I don't know. He was probably the best general commander, became a field marshal of World War I. He was like the fire marshal. Wherever there was problems at the front, they'll send Mackensen.
Yeah.
Oh, the thing I found.
Sorry, I'll be back.
Sure. I'm used to. I talk to myself constantly. It makes me feel less lonely when I drive across Europe.
No, it's my Tom cat. He's come back.
Your cat called.
Atlas is back. I had to let him in.
Oh, I was wondering if the cat called. Well, no,
Sorry about that.
we found the largest underground bunker in Germany from the time of the war that was eventually taken over by the DDR army after they'd been sitting vacant for a little while, and they continued doing something with it. But the Germans were making sarin. Actually, it was a detachment of the SS that had convinced. No, they hadn't. They wanted to. There was an SS think tank. Don't know who ran it. Can't find that out. There's a book. It's in German. I'll hack my way through it. Kaviak has a copy of it. There was a German think tank that. All right. Beginning in it. Hang on. I'm just going to read this. By the new German steel lumps. I mean, I still think I should wear a pickle helm. I mean,
why does the Stahlhelm have those two boats, one on either side, sticking out? There's a question for you. Somebody must know.
I knew that once.
Oh,
I don't remember right now because I'm talking about poison. I don't. I
sorry. No, I was reading you were reading that.
Yeah, no.
You were from Lady Brother. You were talking.
Well, I always try to read what she disappeared after she had some high-end government position. True. There's never not been. Hang on for a minute, guys. Need to fix something. There. That's what happened when.
Yes, Paul's right.
Right. What I was saying was an SS think tank had come up with the brilliant idea. It was a small group that if they plastered a 130 kilometer wide belt between the German, this was 43, 44, between Europe and the advancing Russians, where everything would just die, that would be a good barrier. And the way to go about doing that was spray the whole thing with sarin. They were also working on tabun, which they were actually producing. Then they went to Hitler with the plan that they wanted to do, start producing this. And he absolutely vetoed it because Hitler was always, after his experience with poisonous gas in the trenches, would not hear of it. So this group built the hugest 400-room underground bunker in what became DDR or GDR, depending on where you are, where they then, cover story, made rocket fuel, which they did. But the building behind it, they began experimenting with producing sarin. Have their own power plant. It was a huge, huge place. It really was, and I went through the whole thing, and I've been through Sussen and Maybach. This was enormous, and it was purpose-built to produce these things. And you'll see, we actually had to take a break in the middle. There was a part in the bottom of that bunker where I started getting lightheaded and seeing things, and I had to get up and get some fresh air. That never happened before. Geiger counter didn't go off, but I had Tobias was with me, and you've seen him before. And we go through this enormous bunker, and he's right behind me with he deals in uraniums and radioactive materials. He has a Geiger counter that's always ticking.
Oh,
It's not unnerving at all to walk through this enormous dark place still full of stuff with a Geiger counter that keeps spiking behind you. There's going to be a whole lot of story on that. And but I did find you all remember, some of you remember. If you don't remember, it's you're all to blame. The place, the Siemens underground factory we found out in Germany or Austria. I never actually told you where it was because I don't want the people who are currently occupying the place to be bothered by anybody. Not you guys, but those people. You know them. We don't need them to come blame them. So the thing that Paul made some very nice drawings of, Paul Beatty made some nice graphics of that square structure. We don't know what it was. All these tunnels leading to it, the strange rooms to it. Well, I thought, I have to go underneath it or try to get in it. And I did. That just became a whole nother level of weird. And I measured gamma radiation to 195. I actually went inside it. And it's hard to describe, but it's eventually when I get back to the world, Paul will make some graphics, and we'll try to piece together what this was. I did talk to Siemens, talk to the doctor professor of Siemens technology, and he had no idea what the hell this was. So when I have 4 parallel non-connected tunnels leading to it from underneath with cable ducts slanted, that's not going to make him any happier. No idea what this was, none. But it's certainly not an elevator. Anyway, you'll get. So I found some interesting stuff. I really did, and I just wrote a new buddy out in Poland that hopefully I'll get to go out and play with his new Russian Atomic Annie. Buddy of mine, he just bought. Atomic Annie was the American artillery piece to fire nuclear shells, tactical nuclear weapons. Well, the Russians had one too, and my new buddy in Poland bought one. So I figure it was like 30 tons, self-propelled. I figure we need to go out and have a little look at that, and since I'm going that way anyway. But there's some really interesting technology that we've been coming across.
You're not going to borrow it from him and drive it into the Ukraine to have them out? The Atomic Annie?
No.
Oh, okay.
I figure I'm going to stay on the sidelines of the Ukraine thing and find out exactly what's going on.
Don't blame you.
It's my old interpreter from Ukraine, who's probably slightly bit older than me. There's a cat looking at the computer. He is in not the Kherson, in damn what the place they just leveled.
We've been out of touch, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Haven't seen the news for days.
It's really nice to be able to, for a long time, not actually watch the news or hear American commercials. He is in Bakhmut, and I don't know what that means, but I think he should probably be somewhere else. So all my buddies in Kiev are not in Kiev. They're all at the front, and I'm waiting to hear back on my paperwork from the Ukrainian military department when I'm done talking of what they will let me go visit and do and report from. So we shall see. And but I'll go live from there as often as I can, since I haven't a hunch that in Ukraine there's going to be a whole lot of transportation sitting around in places waiting for trains, buses, cars. Guess what? The rental car company really didn't want me to take the rental car to Ukraine. They have no sense of dignity, and I really wouldn't want to either.
You get something else other than a tire in your, a nail in your tire, wouldn't you?
I have RPG damage. Can you please come fix? Send a crane. Send a tow truck. Where are you? Well,
or is upside down in the swamp.
The Russian helicopter sitting on the roof of my car. So anyway,
we mustn't joke about this. I know Tino.
Yeah, that's another reason why I'm a bit worried about my buddy. Oh, Machine Show, how the hell are you? Yeah, no kidding. Driving narrow roads. We've driven a lot of narrow roads. That's how I ended up getting a nail sideways through my tire wall. No idea how I managed to do that, but well, there's no deer imprint on the damn car yet. M65 atomic cannon. That's the American one, right? M65. That's the atomic cannon.
Yeah, it's a 280.
Yeah, but the Russians made one, and it's a 203 millimeter. You've got to wonder, like, why 3? Why don't they make like 200 even?
No, that we've converted it into metric, but they have their own Russian measurements.
Barbarians.
That's why it's.
I know.
Yeah,
it's why you have these strange measurements. But so I guess I'm not going to go to the Russian archives this year either.
Another visitor has arrived.
Yes.
Atto's cat.
He's a cat person, and I forgive him. He's going to have to work that out with Jesus when he gets there. You work that out with the boss. Haven't kidnapped any dogs yet, but Lord knows I've been trying. Dear Lord, what are we going to there? Anyway, so tomorrow I am going to look at a bivouac, which is the big west wall bunker. I'm going to get you all converted to how interesting the west wall was. Maybe. And then I'm gonna head east. And what am I doing? So yeah, we'll see. I'm playing a little bit by ear, but I think there's a lot of lot of places in Poland I'm gonna try to get to. For some reason, it is traditionally hard to get meetings set up and finding curators and people. Thank God for Roger here to actually set up some of the forts we find here. The next step here in some of the forts we want to see is we have to actually start talking to the military, because a lot of them are military property. Yeah, I didn't break into military terrain this year yet. I didn't. I haven't jumped any barbed wire fences that says "don't go" yet. I am a little disappointed in myself, quite honestly.
So I didn't have to wear my full Maginot uniform to pretend I was a real French officer to get him through the gate guardian.
I try not to. I try not to get you arrested. But no. There was also some of the forts around Strasbourg that are really interesting, because they were incorporated in the Maginot Line. After there's some really interesting stuff that I've been running into. So I'm really curious to see what we'll see. Oh, the Swiss have also there's a couple of Swiss forts that have invited me to come document their forts. So. And we keep finding things around here. What was up around Metz? We had to see Fort Drion. We have to go take a look at that. And that was down here. Drion was down here, and then there was the other one that's further inland on military property. That I think the Americans blew it up, I believe.
Oh, what a surprise! How unusual!
That's hard to believe.
Well, we did find one, as you said, that the Americans didn't actually blow up.
We did. We find one entire fort in Europe that the Americans have not blown up.
Never attacked it
yet. I tried very hard to make sure I didn't damage anything. But I mean, I guess it's a badge of honor here, not damaged by American forces.
a big sign outside. Another miracle.
We were here and didn't do that. For God's sake, even Fortress Epidemale, after the Americans had finally moved in and the Germans had left, the Americans started opening fire on the fort just to test it themselves. Let's try to blow this up. It's a thing. We have weapons.
That reminds me. When you visit some old obsolete French forts from World War I, on the turrets you will see something that looks like a handprint, probably twice normal sized. And this has always puzzled me until I realized the American army facing the Siegfried Line, they'd asked the French if they could try out their explosive packs on the roofs, on the turret roofs of obsolete French forts. And they did twice times of nothing.
Yeah.
They just made a little slight
we keep looking at it as a grenade splatter, and once again, it's
They did nothing.
We did see a nice 75 turret today. That I met some very nice bats in there, and it had a really hard impact of something large. I don't know what the Germans were shooting at the shell there. I don't know.
30-05 or a 20.
Were they shooting 420s?
No, they had 305s. Skodas. Those big holes
were made by 305. And it's like, and we had 5 meters of stone. Some of the top was reinforced. It was actually amazing. They dug this fort. This is the pre-World War I fort. This was 1885, reinforced before World War I, shelled to a lot. And when they dug it out of the rock, they just repurposed all the rock by putting that on top of the fort, which was brilliant. So you have 5 meters. But when they finally penetrate and they go in and they explode inside, you have these enormous craters. Because one thing is you had the explosive crater, but you had the shell with the delay, with the tail fuse that will come inside and explode inside the magazine or bedrooms or whatever it was, caserne, and then as that would blow up, then it will just funnel everything down, and you have the enormous craters. And I tried my best to drone it, but it's also covered in trees, what makes it hard. But it was such an amazing place.
And I tried my best not to fall in any of these craters.
I know, and funny there is this.
What we saw in the bedroom with the bed.
Oh, so one of the casernes in this fort had been destroyed. I mean, there was everything, 6,000 shells, lots of holes in the walls, lots of masonry, lots of stone and cement exploded, destroyed. But they had a commander that was, and we're going to have to talk about World War I commanders, because we always had this, I think it's to some degree a misnomer, that the World War I, it was lions led by donkeys.
Yeah, as
and
the Germans said about the British.
Yeah, and all the commanders of World War I, they were just callous. Their lives of their men were worthless. They were just, that's not true. And even some of the things Haig, who have a horrible reputation, actually made sense from his point of view. Some of it. But here, these guys, they had a French commander. He was a smart guy. He actually let them bathe in the river.
Yeah.
Which I could see that for multitudes of reasons being a good thing. But he would, whenever the Germans started heavy shelling the fort, he would pull them out of the fort and into the underground bunkers or out, because he knew the fort would withstand, and indeed it didn't. So at one of these occasions, they had, in one of the bedrooms, they had all their gear, all their stuff, but they left rapidly. And of course, the roof of that caserne was collapsed and destroyed and came down, and you see the bedposts sticking out still of that roof collapse, and all their personal gear is still underneath the rubble. And the guys who's running it, taking care of it, and I'm not going to say they're running it as a museum, because they're actually just making it possible to visit and keeping it safe and keeping it in one piece. Yeah. No glass cases with crap and all that stuff. They decided to leave it there because, well, this is where it landed during the war. But under all, you have this entire bedroom. No one died there, no dead bodies, but all their gear and personal stuff is still lying on the rubble, and the bedposts are sticking out. That's just all. I mean,
it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's one of those things where I want to, and I find myself doing it. I keep filming it from the same place. I'm like, I can only show this once, but because I really want you to see this. And I'm standing here with the camera looking at the same thing for a minute. I'm like, I mean,
it's so moving.
It really is. And you and there's shells and shoes and all sorts of different things like that they keep finding, and they leave it there. And once again, they let me crawl through all the different collapsing things without battering an eye, which.
Yeah, and they had an officer's bed, which you never see.
And they had
which was really weird.
You know how we always say the Germans and the Prussians over-engineer stuff? Oh, yeah. The French did an officer's bed with inverted springs on rollers. It's a fucking bed.
And nothing to stop him falling off the sides either.
No, I mean, being an officer, obviously he should be tied to the bed to make sure he doesn't go off or
run away,
do something stupid in his sleep. But I mean, why do you over-engineer a bed? Don't worry, I did close-ups of it just because it was like ridiculous. It's like, put them on a board, the mattress, just some hay, sleep. But they all had inverted bed springs, but they were on little rollers, which is
just like in the Maginot beds, weren't they?
Yeah,
those rollers.
And it is one of those things where like, well, this is what I expect from a Prussian engineer. Oh, we could make this simpler for you. No, we need.
But what about the architecture of the Gothic? That was amazing where we were today.
I mean, there's I can't show you on the phone. I'll post these as you go on Instagram.
It was so, that fort was so different to all the others, and even Philippe Struckmann, the expert on Ceux de Rivière and Maginot. I translated one of his gigantic books many years ago. He declared that it was the strange fort, wasn't it?
The strange fort of
Liouville.
Liouville.
The strange fort.
Remember that.
So many things were different. So weird. But not nicely weird. Weird in a good way.
And you have this fort, and you keep running through things, and you go like, what was that? And you go like, well, we've taken care of this for 30 years. I don't know. And there are so many things they don't know what was. What was in this room? We don't really know. This collapse thing, what was that? Don't really know. This thing is bricked up with cement. Do you know why? Not really. And they're not hiding anything. They're trying to figure it out. They even dug out the room underneath the rolling. You know, you had the bridge, you had the front gate, you had the front bridge, then you had the rolling. What's it called?
Well, it's a platform. Isn't it?
The rolling bridge. The rolling bridge. You pull it aside, so there's just a dip. so the enemy can't get in, because then there's just a hole and firing ports. It was full of stone when they got it. And there's a walkway down, staircase. Why is there a staircase down? Hang on for a minute.
Yeah, we never knew why.
No. Hang on for a minute. Let me just explore this for a minute. So you have a fort, you have a ditch, so you can pull up the drawbridge, and then there's this huge. You go over the rolling bridge, and you get to the actual fort. Then there's the gate. You break through the gate. Then there's the platform that you roll to the side. So there's a deep hole, right? And in that deep hole was where the enemy would fall. If they came into the fort, they couldn't get in because the gates are closed. The bridge is rolled to the side. But then there's a staircase up from it.
From the pit.
Why was there Why is there a staircase up from the pit?
And they didn't know, and we couldn't work it out either. It was perhaps an escape route. But under the drawbridge, it didn't make sense at all. But
the way we came in, there was a staircase up from the pit. The pit is where you want the enemies to fall into.
You don't want them to climb up.
You don't want them to walk up the stairs, come in through the. Why the hell is there a staircase? Anyway, really those are the kind of things. Not to mention the really weird structures that they built inside of reinforced. You'll see. This is just
the X's that went up in the. Oh my god.
Whole vertical reinforced structure above a 15-meter tunnel below
50-meter pit,
and then there's 3 kilometers of tunnels running around underneath this fort that will take a little. Obviously, your French is better than mine. The way I understood what he said, the way I chose to understand what he said was, we don't have the keys to the tunnels because that's where the bats live.
The entrances to the tunnels, yeah.
He didn't say the entrances were blocked, but we just needed the keys. That's what he said, right?
Yes.
Right. That's what I heard, because that means I told him I have to go back.
There's a cofre de Contrescarpe.
Right.
That's the way you go in.
Yes. You're not gonna hide 3 kilometers of tunnels underneath any fort and not expect me to crawl through there. Dead, live, bat, spiders, whatever. But I have to find the bat people with the keys. So if anyone would just mind photoshopping me a Tino Struckmann bat expert certificate and ship it over, so I can officially. I'm
a bat lover. You're a bat lover.
I'm Baron von Struckmann. I am a specialist on European bats. I must inspect your habitat. Kind of BS. I'm going to get my way in, and trust me, I'm going to get in there. Even next time when I come back here, diarrhea, no diarrhea. He's letting me in those tunnels too. That was the fort you saw yesterday. Kilometers of tunnels underneath that as well, which is why I have to come back and crawl on the ground. And well, you know how that whole thing went.
And the powder magazine we saw today was brilliant, wasn't it?
God, yes, it induced me to song.
Amazing. And the ventilation systems, the forced ventilation systems that invented, it was unique. I've never seen anything like that.
Aeration under the floor of the powder magazine, and we again.
And then
1885,
the sides,
yeah,
the little,
and also the Prussian fort we saw yesterday. Aeration went under the floors,
yeah,
which is very different. So anyway, hope it'll work. Anyway,
Tino.
I don't know if I can. Can I show you the picture of that bat?
The lady bat that fell in love with you came swooping down.
I want to see if I get. I'm just on the laptop, so I don't know if I can actually figure out to import that, because you all know I'm an idiot. Slides.
Peepers.
I have a slide. You have no slides. All right. How about my computer? Ooh, maybe I can upload a file to my slides. I'm winging it as I go. I really haven't slept much since I got here. I really haven't. Where's the picture of the damn bat? Took a screenshot because I wanted to show you a picture of the bat. All right, fine.
Should you put this picture on the internet, or you'd be arrested by the bat police?
Bat police? I am the bat police. All right, I'm just going to post it for you. It was very fun. I was looking up an observation dome, the traditional 10, 15 meter turret, and I see the bat come swirling down towards me and just weir off the camera right in front of the lens. I'm like, I hope I got that. Big fat guy too, or girl, I guess.
Good. She was pregnant.
She was pregnant. Oh.
It's the season of reproduction.
I thought the bats, they went in there in the winter, and when I showed up in the summer, they would be out hunting mosquitoes.
No, they've been doing other things. They've been reproducing as fast as they can go.
Well, I'm fine with that. Well, good. Then they're no longer endangered, and they can get out of my tunnels. I mean, what the hell? I mean,
Yeah. Don't show the bat. They were closing food bunkers in my country just to be sure.
They
true.
would. I know people who are babysitting these forts, and they are absolutely terrified that a bat colony will move in because then their fort gets shut down because apparently tree huggers and tree hugging bat people are now running the civilized world. What was I heard a friend of mine in Poland? It's only officially bat colony, and the numbers, it could be slightly wrong, but the way I understood it, if the bat colony numbers over 150 in number of bats, then it is a colony, and he's FUBAR and fort shut. So at every annual count that they undertake, there has never been more than 148, 49 bats in that fort. It seems to be a fixed number of a family that doesn't exceed that. It's amazing, really. I mean, they must all be very monogamous and live old. Oh, God. Bat politics, yeah. Well, let's not. Well, I mean, I will say I have finally found a few forts that were not graffitied to death. And I think, yeah, I mean, there's some places that are being used, and I would like to see saved. I mean, that's going to be a bit of a balance when we're trying. Speaking of a bit of a balance and forts and things we want to see. So I met with the Austrian Bundesimmobiliengesellschaft. Had a long, nice meeting. They brought their lawyer.
That makes you suspicious, doesn't it?
Always a good sign when you have a meeting where you're requesting information and they show up with their lawyer. It's like, this is just going to go really well. Yeah. But it was nice. And Dr. Gerhard really gave them a sense of his mind, and that was a nice, polite one.
Look, this is so sad.
Be careful. I lost my buddy in Ukraine. He was the best soldier I knew. Way too many good men and women and families are losing their lives in Ukraine. That's why I'm not happy that my old buddy is sitting in Bakhmut when he's 50 plus. I mean, not that he can't, not that anything wrong with it. I just think maybe, there are certain, I guess, like the World War I, World War II, there are certain troops that should be doing garrison duty. I'm sorry, Igor, but you should be doing garrison duty. You shouldn't be running out of the front lines, and there are younger, stronger, faster dudes than you that should be doing that. So I know, and that's why I'm not volunteering for anything, because this is my place.
Yeah, but last year when Putin attacked, I was furious at what was going on. And I swore to myself that if I still had my Madsen machine gun with various bits and pieces that came my way, if I still had that, I had to sell it when I came to France. I'd have thrown it in the boot of my car and I'd have set off for the Ukraine.
Well, you know, Roger, traditionally, of how we Vikings are supposed to die, is we're supposed to die fighting with sword in hand. So when you, as a Viking, get to an age where you became too old and no longer fulfill your usefulness for the tribe in battle, you went off and you sought glorious death, so you could go to Valhalla, knowing that you had fought getting there. That's why the older Vikings would fight the hardest, because they wanted to die in combat so they'd get into Valhalla. I have a hatchet in the car, and you got one sitting over there. We can just drive. I mean, yeah. I feel kind of like I'm borderline at the end of my usefulness.
Well, at my age, I'm not much to lose. And I was born in a Viking town,
right?
Founded by a Viking pirate chief, Sweyn.
So, all right,
Swansea.
So we go to Ukraine. We go just drive to Moscow. Fuck it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
that's it.
I've got some things here that we can take with us.
Oh, I'm sure we can pick up some things in Poland. Anyway, to finish my story about Bergkristall and the Austrian situation, which is just taking so many sideways notes, that all the questions I asked them and the historians that was involved in the Mauthausen report, well, none of them have been answered. Not a single one. In fact, I couldn't even get confirmation that the pictures that was taken for the shoring up of the tunnels, that'd be nice, exists. But if I wanted to see them, I would have to talk to the Interior Minister of Austria. So now I will write the damn minister.
Copperpolis, Swansea. Yes, Brian, you're right there.
Oh God, there's two of you.
There's nothing left of the copper works, just a grassy field.
Oh, when oh,
that's where they first smelted copper in the Industrial Revolution in Swansea, and it's all gone. Oh, the Amber Room. Yeah, we've got to find the Amber Room. Bring that back with us.
Well, there's some rumors that Kamala hid it for Hitler, was what I heard. Oh, and I had a very nice cup of tea with Kamala's engineer's son, Fiebinger. Very, very nice guy. Very nice guy. And I found out some of the other things that Mr. Fiebinger did for the U.S. Army after the war. You're just going to have to wait for that. No ill will towards either one of them. And I really suggested that the Kamala and the Fiebinger family, they actually should talk. But that's not for me to say. I get along with all of them, and they're great people. I have nothing but good things to say about all of them. Which is, I don't know what to do about the Austrians. It's just no one wants to take a chance of letting us investigate or research or share information or even old footage of places that are destroyed. Because what if someone gets fired? I don't know. Everybody's afraid to nobody want to lose their job, and which is ridiculous. So upwards to the minister, and it's tiring, and I think that's how they tire people out, because the higher up you go. What's the creepy place you were talking about? That would be in when I was standing in the woods. That would be the sarin. How do you say it in English? Sarin. How do you say it in German? Sarin. Right. The poisonous gas factory the SS affiliates had made. And there was also research. And the Luftwaffe research was there. The Navy research was there. This far from the ocean. IG Farben was there. AG was there. Siemens was there. Research. Geez, shocker. All these names just keep coming up. And I hope you all watched my episode on the real story of Hitler's gold, because I actually made Roger watch it yesterday, and
unbelievable.
It's funny no matter where you go. And we're going through the World War I, the Prussian fort from 1885 yesterday, and we're looking at AG, Siemens, all the same technology of the same companies that's been in business for the last 150, 200 years. Still in business today. Just remember why wars they start. It usually has more to do with gain and money than it has to do with anything else.
Yeah. And the poor ordinary guys are the ones that get killed to make
always
a lot of people rich.
And I don't think that it will be wrong to say that the Ukraine situation has just as much to do with money as it has to do with anything else. I'm saying there's way too many people making way too much money on this war to make it stop. I think this is possibly a situation that could be resolved I think this is a situation that could be resolved with fewer people dead if you packed away the ego. But I always think there's more things than we're just told, and I don't think this is a black and white situation. And I think it's a real situation on the ground. It's really happening, and people are really dying, and it is what it is. But I always try to go back to the whys and the hows could have been done different, and that frustrates me because. And I've spoke with people in the German military, the French military, Polish military while I was here, and all of them are extremely upset that we are depleting our weapon stores to sending them off to Ukraine. Not because they don't want to help the Ukrainians, but because they're not being replenished. And I hear so many stories. Then I hear, well, that's a good thing. We're sending them our old stocks and we're buying new stuff. But are we buying new stuff? I can't figure out what's going on. And I'm trying not to. I try to stick to World War II because it's generally more fun than present day. But well, since they were fighting out of some of the areas of the Stalin line outside Kiev last year, well, that's why I'm going, because I want to see how they fought there and how they used those old positions during a modern war. So that's one of my main reason for going, besides, of course, the conference. So when I've met with enough people out there, we'll see how I feel. We'll see what I see, and I'll tell you what I think. But it's a shit show.
Yeah, but be careful out there, because it's no use bringing along a rope in the boot and expecting me to pull you out of a long, deep pit that you've gone exploring.
I told you I just tied.
It's a bit more dangerous than that. You'd have to tie the rope around my waist as well.
So
I'd be pulled in as well.
Well, you'd stay up on top.
Not on top.
Oh, I found it. Oh, we found another place. That's okay. I forgot about that. There's a destroyed fort of, again, 1880, post Franco-Prussian War, not far from Kustrin. It's just completely destroyed. This is not because it's destroyed in the fighting. It's destroyed because the locals stole all the bricks to rebuild their city at some point. But there are holes in the ground into the underground tunnels, and we found one of the old powder magazines. The powder magazine lift is still open, and you go down, and you can see the tunnels underneath. So there's a little brick structure, and everything is brick and cemented. And I got to go down there because we don't know what's down there. So I'm counting that when I go through Berlin, Mr. Jones is going to lend me a ladder, and one of the dudes is going to come with me and, call for an airlift when I don't come out, so I can crawl down there and find out what's in the underground tunnels, because there's no way in there other than this vertical hole. And as far as I can see, nobody's been down there. I don't see any videos, any photos. Probably most people don't even know this fort exists because, well, it practically doesn't. There's one tunnel, and everything else is just gone. It's covered in dirt, but underneath the dirt. So anyway, that was. So if you want to come with and pull me out of a, like 10-meter hole, you just have to tie it around your waist and just keep your legs braced against the embrasure while I crawl down.
But you're heavier than me. You pull me in.
Well, it's all about leg strength, I think.
After today, my legs are falling off. They have no strength left.
I'm taking you to the gym when I come back. You know that. All right. Is there anything? Let's not forget. Yeah. Agreed. That's first. Oh, yeah. Anyway, hey, I'm gonna go off and I get a long drive tomorrow, and Roger's going to thank the ancient deities that I've left. And then we'll see if I come back here after Ukraine and torment him.
You're welcome anytime.
We wanted to go live from Trion today, but a third-party diarrhea seemed to have destroyed that situation. I don't know the guy, so I don't know if we're embarrassing him. But
would the signals have got out from the underground?
Well, we couldn't. Yeah, anytime I go into a tunnel, I lose you. But we could have gone through the fort where we were above ground, and there's more of that I wanted to see and show. Hey, Jeffrey, how the hell are you? Yeah, I know.
And the rope to a car, and then I can pull him out. Yeah.
Well, you are under the impression that in the middle of the forest there is an access for a car. It's very optimistic. I know. I don't know. There's are you here? Someone asked me once how I felt about walking to locations. Like, would I just, and this is where the American in me broke away. So I'm like, if I would just like to drive right up to the locations and go in there, like just right there, or do I want to go exploring through forest and find them? Like, no, I want to drive right up to the thing I want to see so I can spend my time seeing it instead of walking thousands of kilometers through mosquito-ridden swamps looking for it, wasting time where I could be going to another one. And I know that's I guess there's a little bit of the American tourist in me there. Driving me to the front of the fort and driving me to the next fort. And some of these places, we need some serious tracked vehicles.
Yes, with the recoil spade, so that you can then go down on the road.
I think
and it won't slide on the mud and fall on top of you.
I think tracks are the way to go. And God, I've been climbing over a lot of weird waterways lately. I've seen a lot of mosquitoes, and off doesn't seem to work anymore. I'm just saying I need to start smearing myself with Agent Orange or DDT or something that'll actually kill something that will kill mosquitoes upon impact with my body.
Oh, come on. I've got sprays that I spray my students with when they go through the forest.
Does it work?
Yeah, oh yes.
I mean,
and the after bite as well. I roll that on them.
I always thought that American chemicals was the most deadly for everybody in the world, including the end user. I thought we had the best chemicals in America.
Yeah, but the best chemicals for killing people. We're talking about saving people. It's the other way around.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Might kill the mosquitoes, but also kill the end user, me. Anyway, we'll get up with some more B vitamins and stuff.
Perhaps they've got a rope beside the Swiss Army knife. That's a great idea. We'll have to tell them to make one.
I had to buy a multi-tool on a German swap meet because I came out. I forgot left my multi-tool. Ridiculous. But anyway, DEET. Well, I can't get that. Wait a minute, you were here.
DDT.
No, she wrote DEET. DEET is the name of a mosquito spray. I didn't know I could get that. All right, fine. I'll be in your neighborhood tomorrow, the day after. I'll go by grocery store.
No, when I take a group of school kids around, I tell them all to make them behave. That the officers allowed me 10% of losses on the battlefield, and they all look slightly surprised. And then I turn to the teachers and I say, yes, but it's your teachers who decide which ones. And the teacher said, yeah, that's it. We already have some on the list. I
mean, I think what you do teaching kids about what actually matters is incredible.
It's so important. Yeah.
As no one else is teaching history as they should. Last words on the trip. I know we've been talking about the trip around Europe, and I said I thought I was going to postpone this to August, September, getting a little bit further into the year, get the tourist season out of the way, get my Ukraine trip out of the way because I don't know how long I'm going to stay, don't know how it's going to go, and all that stuff. Get me back stateside, U-turn. And then come back because now we have a bus, we have a driver, locations. I'm sort of making a mental list, and I promised to post it, but the list has pretty much just changed today. And also, I'm going to still trying to figure out if we should do an east and a west tour, or one tour where we do 1 week east, 1 week west. I think I'm just going to have to put something together and then try to map out also prices. So make sure that everything holds. So we can actually get some of the guys out of the bus and actually show them what's around here. But everything, there's so much I would like to show people that it's hard. It's hard if we have to pick 7 locations in France. That's hard because there's so many more, and I'd rather pick locations like we saw today yesterday that are genuinely special, and something you won't see a lot of in literature and in documentaries and things. But so I'm still thinking about it, and it may be I just throw it up there and say I'm still in Europe. Let's go for a couple of weeks. Who wants to come? We shall see. And but anyway, I have no idea what time it is, but it's time to go there.
20 past 10.
Yes, we didn't start about yesterday. So you guys all take care. Thank you, by the way, so much for I saw you guys came up with a couple of donations, and I really appreciate that, especially with the unforeseen weird expenses I keep enduring. It's been technologically, this has been a nightmare trip. Not to mention the 4K camera crapped out on half of my shoot with Caveat without notifying me that there was a problem. So half of the files were corrupted. So I had to go back without them and shoot everything again. So now I don't want to use the 4K camera because I'm not entirely sure what the problem is. But if the problem is that that doesn't matter. It's technical stuff. And you don't know my specific proclivity for screwing up technology and digital. But I'll tell you, for instance, I had an old BMW, 525, and well, not that old, it was years ago. I made it, whenever I flipped the passenger visor, the radio go out. And any mechanic will tell you those two have absolutely no connection or linkage in common. I will make electronic things do really weird stuff. You know,
I have the same problem. And when the two of us are together, it's like matter and antimatter, isn't it? We have to put it down to our magnetic personality. Things just break for no obvious reason.
And I just blow street lights as I walk under them.
And you blew up my kettle.
And I ruined your towel too.
Oh, you
With
superhuman strength, you tore my towel.
I thought you blew up your kettle. We need donations for a kettle I'm going to use some of the money to buy Roger a new teapot. Well, you broke it. I didn't touch it.
I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh. Well.
I broke your towel.
Yeah, you broke the towel.
These things happen. All right, you guys. We'll do this again one way or another, but just giving you an update as I'm heading east, and we shall see. And you're on the phone. All right, everybody. Been to the destroyed Wewelsburg Castle. Yes, I've been to Wewelsburg, and they turned it into a museum. There's a little bit of World War II history, Himmler artifacts. His book is there. But everything else is the National Museum, super clinical, white walls. I don't do museums. I really don't do museums.
CIA tracking in the sun visor. That's good. That's scary. Could be true.
It might be. Well, then they can just call. I took leave for a couple of months, so I'm not on anything. Anyway. Yeah. No, Wewelsburg bothers me because we will talk about museum terror and propaganda museums and clinical museums and screwing up history on museums on a whole different chat, on a whole different level, because there's a whole new generation of people who are running museums, and they are not a generation of historians. They're generations of, what the hell are they? Bureaucrats? Conservators.
Their only job is to just keep things. Their job is not to display them or explain them to people. No. They just stick them in a case, and they own them in a way.
And they want to make the displays look nice and clinical and have digital displays and put up monitors and play videos. All that crap you can do from home. They don't want to have. The best thing I did, I went in a small Pommern wall bunker up at the way east. The east wall connects to the Pomeranian wall, the other defensive line. There's one of them where there was a little museum, and I swung by, camera in hand, and said hello. The entire bunker, 2-story bunker, is full of stuff. Of course, it was like partially blown up, full of stuff. Guns, grenades, shells, hand grenades, mines, knives, shrapnel, helmets, everywhere. And anything you want to touch and play with, yeah, just grab it. Kids came in with a family. Oh, you want to? This is a mouse. Or you want to learn to drive the kids for playing with it? That's a museum. Plus, everybody walks in, have something in their hand. They get to the kids get to start. Oh, you get the feel of things. That's a museum.
Living history.
It was in the place. It was the right artifacts. Even had the two of the German World War II bunker batteries in the glass cage. I don't think there was a toilet there. There was a toilet there, but I don't remember if it was actually original. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You get where I'm going with this, and that's just how we need to keep history alive. It doesn't need to be fancy; it just needs to be accessible. And anyway,
yeah. But what happens when we go to these forts? We meet sympathetic people who are proud of their fort, and want to show us things.
Yeah.
And yes, we do go hands on.
Yes,
we can touch things.
Yes,
we can climb up and down things. It's amazing.
Well,
nothing like it.
The fancier the fort, the less they'll let us do and see and go and explore. Like when I tried to walk up on the ramparts on.
And the guy, he was watching you on the video, wasn't he?
Yeah, running out. Like, no, can't go up there. And you go like, why? No, I didn't even go why. I just like, whatever. It's no fun, but when it's fun, it's really fun. And when you see the video of what we did today, you'll get the point. But anyway, all right, enough of this. Time to sleep or feed or whatever it is we're doing. No kidding. All right, you guys, be safe. Lady, good to see you around now that I'm on your time frame. And I hope everyone in the States, well, you guys got to go to bed soon. Well, no, wait a minute. We're going to bed soon. What are you guys doing in the States now? Are you getting up? What time is it?
2:19 p.m. Oh, that's just after lunch.
Well, that's that computer. I'm glad we
that's our computer. Yeah, okay.
That's our computer.
Ah.
I'm glad we are an authority on something other than, anything that has to do with time or structured information. All right, you guys, you take care, and we'll see you soon. And I will continue to post updates and so on and so forth. 22, 23. Well, that's our time.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
What is in the States? It's got to be
8 hours
morning.
Behind.
Yeah, so it's okay.
Morning.
Yeah, well, that's why Robert's in church. See?
Okay.
I don't think the church is an afternoon matinee. All right. Jesus for late sleepers.
Oh. And we've still got household chores to do, remember?
What are we fixing? What did we break?
Your things.
All right, we'll go play with the grenades. All right, you guys.
No, not the grenades.
Good night, everybody. I will see. Oh, well, there's no grenades. None. No, never.